Today, we are talking about working with the moon to enhance your intuition, how the new moon and the full moon phases can help you to awaken your intuitive abilities, and clues to your intuitive style found in the 12th house of your astrology birth chart.
Did you know that up to 60% of the human adult body is made of water? The brain and heart are composed of 73% water, and the lungs are about 83% water. And the skin contains 64% water. Muscles and kidneys are also like 79%. And even the bones are watery with 31% water content. That's incredible. So when you align with the natural rhythms of the moon and the earth, you're actually connecting to your own internal GPS system.
This is amazing. Okay, so the moon controls the oceanic tides. And seeing as we are made up of an average of 60% of water as a human adult, as Morgan was saying, we are also naturally influenced by the lunar phases. So notice how your body reacts and responds, waxes and wanes as the moon phases shift every month.
Here are a few things you can do on the new moon and the full moon to help awaken your intuitive abilities. So on the new moon, this is a period of reflection, contemplation, and tending to the soil before you plant new seeds. So it takes a huge burst of energy to germinate the seeds. So this is a good time to take stock and prepare for new growth. There's a weightlessness to this period, a time of infinite possibility before ideas and dreams are brought to fruition. So it's actually very magical time, the new moon.
Beautiful. So also during new moon time, as you turn inward, you can also reflect on how you are designed to manifest in the world according to your human design. So for example, are you a specific manifester or are you a non-specific manifester? When you pay attention to these details in your human design chart, you are honoring your intuition by listening to your body and following your inner guidance.
Yeah. And so in your chart, in your human design chart, you will see 4 arrows at the top, and they're also called variables in the chart. So the bottom right-hand arrow indicates whether you're designed to manifest in a specific or non-specific way. So if the bottom right arrow is facing to the left, then you're what's called a specific manifester. So for you, the new moon is a good time for creating a vision board. If the bottom right arrow is facing to the right, that means you're a non-specific manifester. So the new moon is a great time for you to do some journaling or creative expression through dance or even just moving the body.
Very cool. So when it comes to the full moon phase, this is now a period of reviewing and also of letting go. The seeds that you planted have now germinated and broken through the soil. Some will continue to flourish, others will wither away. There's a sense of perspective with this period where our ideas and our dreams are reassessed. And what's no longer working is then returned to the earth. So the full moon time is a really, really good period for cord clearing practices and heart coherence meditation.
So the moon actually goes through 8 phases every month. So remember, the light of the moon expands and contracts, just like every one of us does. So just as a side note, we can't always be in a phase of expansion all the time. There needs to be that ebb and flow and that expanding and contraction. So here's how each phase affects us. The new moon, so that's more of a yang or yang energy. It's about going inwards, but it's instinctual as well. So as I mentioned before, the seeds that you're planting, the metaphorical seeds and or literal seeds, you plant, germinate in that darkness of the new moon. So then we have the crescent moon, and that's more of a yin energy, a softer energy. So that's when the light is increasing and seeds are starting to push above the ground. Then we have the first quarter. This is another yang energy. It's about building, creativity, taking action. And it's like the life of the vision starts to take root. And then we have the gibbous moon, a yin energy. And as you'll notice, it goes from yin to yang. There's the ebb and the flow, the expanding, the contracting. So the yin energy, this is the phase where you need to trust that everything will work out. So it's a time to allow the universe to meet you halfway. It's kind of a surrendering time, I think of it as.
Definitely beautiful. I love that about trusting and just allowing the universe to meet you halfway. It's a really beautiful practice. Okay, so then the next phase that we have is the full moon. So this is a yang energy again, and it's about moving ahead or accepting that certain intentions were not for the best at this time. So it's a time to release and to course correct. So I really love this, that the full moon is actually a time for recalibration. Then we have the disseminating moon, also known as the waning gibbous moon. This is yin energy, and this is all about the fruition of the cycle, where we receive with gratitude. So we let them go, we let our intentions go, we allow the universe to meet us halfway, and then we receive with gratitude. Okay, so then we have the third quarter moon, which again is the yang energy. This is about the harvesting. So we're harvesting of crops, harvesting of our ideas, of our plans, and we also give back from a place of abundance. How beautiful is that? And then we have the balsamic moon, which is also called the waning crescent. Now this is yin energy again, and this is where we reflect with thanks. It's a time for rest and restoration. It's also a time to prepare for the new cycle that begins again every month. So it's a time to turn inward and prepare for rebirth. So the balsamic phase is an excellent time for self-care and meditation. Now, what's really interesting is you will have been born under one of these particular phases, and it's very, very illuminating to look into. So the phase of the moon that you were born under holds fascinating clues to your emotional well-being and what you need to most activate your intuition.
Ooh, yes, very, very interesting, very juicy information looking into that. So that's really cool. And there's a whole other layer to the moon phases where we look at the different elements and how they affect and activate our intuition. So we'll be covering that more in detail in our upcoming class called Modern Mystic, Developing Your Intuitive Abilities. One other phase aspect of the moon phases to mention is, you may have heard of this void of course moon, or VOC. This is a phase where the moon is moving from one sign to the next, and it may feel quiet, energetically quiet. So it's an opportunity to tune into what you want, to go inward, and maybe connect with your angels and guides for support. It's definitely about sort of doing things behind the scenes, not so much outwardly and going out there and putting yourself out there.
Okay, so there are also clues to your intuitive style to be found in the 12th house of your astrology birth chart. So the 12th house is traditionally known as the house of the subconscious. It's ruled by watery Pisces, and it's the house of intuition, of compassion, and spiritual transcendence. So it's also the house of closure and healing. It's the house of the imagination, creativity, and dreams. And it's also where we get into the realms of mysticism, of guardian angels, and your spirit guides.
So what sign rules your 12th house in your astrology birth chart? For example, if you have Capricorn that rules your 12th house, your intuition might look like bridging of the worlds, like the spiritual world and the earthly realm. If Gemini, for example, rules your 12th house, your intuition might look like communication in the form of dreams and receiving messages in meditation. So when you understand what sign and planets you have in the 12th house, you can understand the deepest part of yourself even better.
Juicy, exciting. Okay, so the important thing to remember here is that all of the signs of the zodiac have their own intuitive filters and their own unique ways of expressing themselves. Now, are there any significant planets in your 12th house in your astrology birth chart? For example, the sun or the moon, or perhaps some of the personal planets such as Mars, Venus, and Mercury. As the pioneer of modern astrology, Dane Rudyard explains, there's a special gift-like quality to planets in the 12th house. But there's also a fair amount of navigating through the subconscious realms that we have to face before the true nature of that gift can be unearthed. So remember also that if planets such as Neptune and Uranus, those two planets are particularly associated with psychic energy and intuition. So if those two planets are transiting your 12th house, then they will heighten your intuitive abilities as well.
So, question for you. How do the moon phases affect you and your intuition? Let us know in the comments. All right.
See you soon.